Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is the longest time between us watching an episode and me doing a video talking about the episode. It must have been over a week since we watched The Lodger. And I was pondering why it was taking me so long to do it. As in, at any point I could have sat down and just rabbited on about it. This is not a problem. I can do this at any point. I'm allowed to do what I want. But day and day went by, and I kept thinking, why haven't you done that? You like talking rubbish into your phone and then putting it on YouTube. Why haven't you done it? And I don't honestly think it's anything to do with The Lodger itself. The Lodger is a perfectly fine Doctor Who story. In fact, it's a very pleasant Doctor Who story. In fact, if I was to have anything against The Lodger, and this is an awful use of this term, it's just a bit nice, isn't it? It's just a nice story. I can't really remember the last time we had just a nice story, and that's perfectly fine. I think that I've always said Doctor Who can tell many a story, and when the most insightful thing you can say about a story is, well, two-hand. One, that Matt Smith gets an opportunity to run around just being Matt Smith, which is very pleasant. Playing football, being awesome, just being his very doctorish self. And the fact that James Corden doesn't want to put my head through the window, which is generally what James Corden makes me how to feel. And also, here's another thing I thought. Is James Corden the second most famous person to have ever been in Doctor Who? Now that is anyway. But not really negative. The Lodger's a perfectly good episode of Doctor Who. Perfectly nice, perfectly lovely, great.
It sounds like that's not what you're really saying.
But it's not The Lodger that I want to talk about. Like, it really isn't The Lodger I want to talk
That's how
about.
this works.
Well, no, because I'm going to do something. There's something really weird about Matt Smith's first season of Doctor Who. There is something off about it. And I've never really appreciated it before. So the thing is, before Doctor Who came back, we were used to, a series of episodes running from 2 to however long Trial of a Time Lord is, or the War Games is, or the Dalek Master Plan. You would have a sequence of episodes that theoretically work together, and then they'd be next to another sequence of episodes which theoretically work together. And when you were lucky, the Hinchcliffe years, for example, those stories would have a sort of common groove to them, and then you would progress through, and that was lovely. And that approach is even more emphasised during the RTD era of Doctor Who, because obviously there's a consistency to those stories, and they do the brilliant thing that Doctor Who always does. But one of the things that RTD really did is he brought that. You always knew you were watching Doctor Who, and that's not always the case with old Who. But there was something about the way it was filmed. There was something about, obviously, the TARDIS and everything else like that, but just the tone of it that always felt like it was something consistent from week to week. And that was its strength. The balance was right there. There's something very odd about the balance of Matt Smith's first period of Doctor Who, and I just can't put my finger on what it is. There are some absolutely banging stories here, and I genuinely mean some banging stories. And I think Matt Smith is brilliant. And I think that Karen Gillan is brilliant. And I think that Arthur Darthel is brilliant. And maybe that's indicative of what the problem is here, because now we've had this great character and he's been whipped away from us really quickly. And I feel, where's Rory gone? Like, there's a Rory-shaped hole in these stories, and there shouldn't be. It should just work. And then you get a real swing in tone from story to story. There's just something that doesn't quite square with me about it. And I think that's why it's taken me so long to talk about The Lodger. Because The Lodger, in being, in many ways, just the most nice, gentle, peaceful, like a little island of calm before it all freaking kicks off in the next story. And spoilers here, I'm hoping that we're going to get to the end of the episode after next, and I will finally understand what the chuff has just happened at the end of this season. I'm pretty sure I've got it locked in my head. But I seem to recall at some point after seeing it originally going, so is Rory and Whoathon? Spoilers. Is it? But he's not. Can he be? Doctor Who's never really made me feel like that before. Yeah, there's been plot gaps. Yeah, there's been all sorts of things that you've had to square away. But when the fabric, when the scaffolding of a whole season or a whole story or whatever tale you're telling has things in it that make me just go, hold on, let me just think back. You know, if it's not Trial of the Time Lord just being a bit naff, then, you know, this was intended to... Anyway, so The Lodger is a fine, pleasant, lovely Doctor Who story. I will quite happily watch The Lodger again and have a lovely time doing so. But within the context of this whole season, there is just something weirdly lumpy about it. That's not to say it's not good, because some of it's been brilliant. But I'm really hoping that when we get to the end of the next 2 episodes, I feel as if there's been, retrospectively, some cohesiveness put all over it. And that's not just because Matt Smith rocks back up in Time of Angels again. Anyway, an odd one this. Bye-bye.